Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Journey of a Disability Warrior, the roads we've traveled. Today's guest is Courtney Mullins, and she joins me to share her family's incredible journey in hopes of inspiring others on a similar path. Thank you so much for joining me today, Courtney.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's get started by having you tell me a little bit about yourself and your family.
Well, I am originally from Detroit, Michigan. We moved here in 2007 to be with my grandparents who were living at the time. Um, so that's how I got to Mississippi. Um, and right now it's just me and Carter. His dad and I are divorced. So it's just me and him. Um, I'm a single mom, and I do the best I can to take care of Carter. I'm here in Tupelo, in West Tupelo, Mississippi.
What would you like to share with everyone about Carter?
Carter is a huge blessing to me and others. He was born with spina bifida, and ever since he's been in the world, he's been really determined to face obstacles and to achieve goals. He loves music. Right now, he's really into Elvis. He's already saying he wants an Elvis costume for Halloween. Um, so he's full of personality, and everybody who comes in contact with him fall in love with him. And he is a big blessing. He's a blessing to people um, that we come in contact with. Carter is 7. He's a first grader at Thomas Street Elementary School. He's um he's doing good right now in school. We've had our little issues, but he's doing good in school. Um
And the biggest struggles being a parent of a child with disabilities.
the biggest struggles that I have had adjusting to life, things that happen along the way, whether if it's medical things or um, anything really that came our way, any obstacle. Um, another struggle that I have, and I don't know if any other parent did with this, but dealing with the fact that you, in your mind, you thought that you're gonna have a child that could do certain things, but then once you get, you have your baby and learn that there are certain things that he may not be able to do. You have to try to adjust your thinking with that. Um, and that's another struggle that I have.
And I definitely feel like other parents with kids with disabilities, whatever those may be, can definitely relate to that. So thank you for being open and candid,
Yeah,
because that's not something a lot of people talk about. As you know, I always hear it's mourning the child that you thought you were going to have, the
yeah,
life that you
yeah,
thought you were going to have. So that is very, very common amongst parents.
yeah.
So you're definitely not alone with that. What would you say is the biggest blessing, having your son and having this life that you didn't necessarily plan for?
The biggest blessing is that, um, like I said, he's a very caring child, and he brings so much, regardless of what he has going on. He brings so much joy into my life. Um, and like I said, it's just me and him here, so we have a good time together, and he really brightens up my day. And another lady was saying that she had just met him one time, and she was like, "Oh, I just love your son," and he brings, I'm telling you, he brings a lot of joy to you, and that's one of the biggest blessings is, despite whatever we have going on, he's able to still enjoy life and still, not let it get to him or whatever. He still keeps pushing. And that helps me, as a parent, because I'm like, some of my days are rough, but when I look at him and see, whatever he got going on, he's still going no matter what. So that's one of the biggest blessings to me.
That's wonderful. And what do you feel is one of the biggest misconceptions that people may have about children and even adults with disabilities?
I think one of the things that one of the misconceptions that they have are that they're limited to certain things. Like, you know, you have a child in a wheelchair where they're limited to these certain things, or an adult in a wheelchair are limited to certain things, and they're not. There are things that they can do. You don't have to put them in a, leave them at home or put them in a box and say, well, you can't do this, because there are certain things that that they can do, and they want to be included. Don't just you know say, well, they have this certain disability and then they can't do certain things. So I think that's one of the misconceptions that they have, because I know somebody was talking to me about Carter, and they was like, he can't. I was like, no, I'm not gonna say what he can't do. I want him to be included. Don't just because he in the wheelchair, just don't say what he can't do, certain things. Like that's how I feel about that. Um, don't put the limits on them. Don't do that. And I wish people wouldn't do that because it happens all the time. Um, when you look at somebody with a disability, you think they're limited to a certain thing, but they're not.
How has Carter's experience in school been with his peers and with being included in the school setting?
It that has really been good, and I've been blessed in that area because normally Carter, he it's always one or two kids, and they're usually girls who end up like taking on the role of, making sure he's okay, making sure he has certain things, and they can be pretty feisty, these little girls, but they they he really, like, everybody loves him. I don't have any problem with any type of issues with like bullying or anything like that. And if they do that, I don't know anything about it. He doesn't say anything to me about it, but they include him. They find things for him to do outside if he can't do like the slide or something like that. But they still find things for him to do. They just don't leave him in the school and say, well, he can't go outside, and but they have really that I've been blessed to have good experience with school up until this point. They look out for him and they take care of him at school.
I always ask all my parents this, what do you think defines an advocate?
An advocate is somebody who can step in place and speak or fight for whoever that they're being an advocate for. Um, that's what I think an advocate is, because a lot of us are advocates. As a parent, we are advocate because we have to go for what we need for our children. So I believe that's what an advocate is: somebody that's going to step in and fight and push for things for the child, or whoever that they're going to be an advocate for.
And I also like to ask this question too. How are you preparing Carter to be an advocate for himself as he gets older and involving him in all of the the processes in school and beyond? What
Mhm.
are you doing with him now, even with him only being 7 years old? What are some of the values that you're instilling in him at this point?
I do tell Carter that, at some point, I tell him that mom is not going to be able to do certain things for him. So I try to, instill in him that you're going to have to be the one to kind of speak up, and which he does that sometime now. He already kind of does that, but, to speak up for yourself. And I always tell him that, no matter what, um, if you feel like certain things aren't right, or somebody is not treating you right, you have to speak up and say, hey, you know you don't treat me this way, or I'm not getting treated right, whether if it's at school or anywhere. Um, so I try to tell him those things to speak up for himself and not to just let, things just roll. That they're not right. Things are not right. Just don't let them roll off. Speak up for yourself. And he does that a little bit sometimes, but yeah, that's what I'm telling him now.
Tell me a little bit about your group of support, whether it's from family or friends or the community. Who do you rely on on a day-to-day basis? Um,
Well, my dad, he helps me out a lot. Um, my mother, she passed away in May, so she was really a big support to us. But my dad, and I have family um, that we depend on. Um, like I have a good support system, I would say, and I have support in the community. I have friends that kind of help me with him, so it's the all around. I have a good group of support right now, which I'm thankful for.
Tell me a little bit about more about the community involvement that you've had, specifically the Shine Foundation and how they have impacted your family's life.
Shine Foundation has really blessed us, and I hope I don't cry, but we've been knowing the ladies at the Shine Foundation for a while now, and they have always helped me or always been encouraging to me. They have always been there, and once they had started the foundation, I was happy because um, they can help. They would help. They're already helping, but then now they can help a wider range of people who probably would never, been able to get help. And they're awesome. I can't. I don't even know. I can't really describe it. The feeling that I have for them, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have had my van. And I mean, it's a big blessing. They are a huge blessing. And, I really appreciate them for that. I really do.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, for those that may not know about the money that they raised and how they raised that money to get you the wheelchair accessible van? Can you tell our viewers a little bit more about that?
Okay. I have been transporting Carter in my car, and I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of Carter, but he's a hefty boy, and I had to break down a wheelchair and put it in the trunk, put him in the car, and of course I've been doing it because I had no choice but to do it, and it's a wear and tear on my body because getting him in and out. A lot of times I wouldn't really go a lot of places because I knew I had to get him out the car, or try to do everything I needed to do before he came home so we wouldn't have to go back out. And they saw that I was struggling with getting him in and out the car and having to do the wheelchair and in the rain soaking wet because I'm getting them in and out the car, and they seen that I needed, help with that, and they started a fundraiser, and they were able to raise the money to get the van, and then I got it, and it didn't take long. People were very giving and donating, and I've had a lot of people say they really, was inspired by the story, and um, I met people that I never, seen before through them watching it on Facebook, and um, so it was a huge blessing, and I'm thankful for it because now it's easy to get them in the car, the van, and we can go wherever we need to go without me stressing about I got to get them out the car. So it has made my life so much easier. Um, the handicap van, it's the wheelchair accessible van has really made it easy for me, and I really am grateful for it.
Yes, that's wonderful. And thank you for sharing that story. And I definitely know it's going to like touch even more people. And hopefully from this video, we can, this story can reach people that it can continue to inspire. So it's just it's just moving what
It is.
people can do, when they put, that have their hearts in the right places, that can, a community can come together and do something like this. It just really shows that there are still like good people and good things in this world.
Yeah,
And sometimes that's what we need
right,
to focus on more than like a lot of the negative. So
right. We do. And we need more of that, the more positive things than the negative things. And I've learned, that's what I've learned too through this whole process, that there are people out there who are willing to help. And it's not all the time, something negative or anything like that. It's, there are people out here who are going to help you, and it turns out to be a good thing. And we do need to focus on the positive and not the negative.
where are you looking forward to going to the most now, or what experiencing now that you have the van? Like you're saying, it's going to be so much easier now. So what's something you're looking forward to doing that you weren't able to do before?
Really just day-to-day things. Like I wouldn't even really take Carter to Walmart with me. And I mean, because it was just a lot to take him out. If I had to run in there real quick to get something, I had to take him out the car and put him in the chair, and he was getting heavy. So it was becoming to be a struggle for me. So even just day-to-day things like taking him to the mall or us going to Walmart. We went to Memphis last week, which was good because, you know, I didn't have to do a lot of the extra things I were doing before. It was just easier for me to get them, we go in, so just day-to-day things, really, just everyday stuff. I'm glad we can do without me struggling to get them in the car.
What are your hopes and dreams for Carter's future?
My hopes and dreams for Carter are, I just want him to do whatever he desires to do. Um, and I want to encourage him to, keep going and be determined to um, to overcome obstacles that might come his way. I try my best now. He talks about, when I grow up, mom, I want to do this. When I grow up, mom, I want to do that. He says, I want to be a doctor. I'm going to be a cop. I'm going to be a fireman, stuff like that. But whatever his desire is, once he gets older, I hope he's able to do whatever he desires to do and still hold on to that determination that he has to overcome things that he may, that may come his way in the future.
And what are some of the things that your hopes and dreams for your future? Because I know I get in this role too. We're not just, yes, we're moms and it's an important part of who we are, but sometimes we have to separate ourselves with our own dreams,
Hmm.
goals, and ambitions. So tell me a little bit about some of your dreams and goals and your hopes for the future.
Well, I hope that at some point I'm able to at least go back to work and do some things career wise. Um, I put it on hold for right now because it's hard to work and do what I need to do for him. But I'm hoping that at some point I'm able to kind of get back out there and work for myself. I want to, um, but hopefully I'll be able to do that at some point because I went to college and I got a degree and I really want to, of course, I wanted to the career life and, all that kind of stuff. But um, I just hope that at some time point in the future that I'm able to go back to work and kind of do stuff for myself, I guess, like you say, I can be a mom, but then too, I can kind of do things that I need to do for myself. So that's what I want to do.
Yes, I think that it is important, but I do understand personally the sacrifices that do need to be made when we do have kids.
Mhm.
like Carter and like my daughter. How do you balance being a mom and being a caregiver and trying to build in some of that self-care time? Because that is important to share and to talk about.
Carter goes to school, and then he goes to the date with the pediatric health choice center. And most of the time during the day while he's gone, I try to do things for myself, as far as like I go to the gym or get my hair done or go getting up feet, like a pedicure or something like that. I do try to do that. When he goes with his dad on the weekends, when he's with his dad, I try my best to find something that I want to do for myself, but sometimes it's kind of hard. Like I'm used to him leaving, and my mama used to tell me all the time, Courtney, you miss your baby. That's why you don't want to go nowhere. And well, after the first day, yeah, but I try to get out the house and go somewhere, if it's going to the mall or, just doing something for myself so I can find that balance instead of just being, not doing anything for myself. I did learn that a couple years ago that I was in that slump of focus was all on him, and my health kind of deteriorated a little bit, and things weren't going they weren't going good. So I had to come out of that, saying I had to take care of myself because I can't take care of him if I'm sick. So I kind of got out of that role of just saying I'm gonna be focused on him all the time. And I did try, I do things for myself. If it's just something, simple as, like I said, going to the nail place or something like that, I do try to do that for myself.
That's so important to, to make that distinct, to be able to acknowledge, when
Hmm.
as when we do need help and to ask for help and to take that time because it's
And not feel guilty about it. Because I think a lot of times we feel guilty when we, do things for ourselves, you know. So not and don't feel guilty about taking care of yourself. So that's another thing I want to say. Because I think somebody else was saying that they feel guilty if they do things, for themselves because, you're so focused on your child. But I learned that you can't, because you do have to take care of yourself at the end of the day. You really do.
yes, 100% agree. Now, if you could build the perfect world for Carter, um, what would that look like? With accessibility, inclusion, what you know and what you've been through, what would that perfect world look like?
Well, accessibility will be number one. Making sure that he's able to get to certain things. Because we had that problem at the pumpkin patch. He couldn't get to the pumpkins because it was full of rocks and dirt, and his chair couldn't get over all of that. So accessibility would be one thing. Also, just providing things for people with disabilities. Um, I was talking to somebody earlier about the adult size changing table at the bathrooms because Carter's not big. I mean, he's too big to get on the changing tables in the bathroom, not for the babies. And that's not a whole lot of privacy if you have to change, somebody. So maybe making that, you know, at least starting that somewhere. Let's put the bigger changing tables in the bathroom, or make the bathrooms available um for that, so people can have privacy and they're able to do what they need to do with their child or whoever they're taking care of. I just wish that people would think about them, not like um like they're just whatever, or because when people see people with disabilities, they start acting a certain way. Just treat them like you know you would treat anybody else. Don't do that. That's another thing. Um, I would think a perfect world would be, just they're people. They're not you can talk to him and, treat him like you want to be treated. That's another thing I think in a perfect world would be for Carter.
I think that's a great place to conclude here with that sentiment. So I just want to thank you so much for joining me today and being so candid and open and sharing your experience and uh, t- telling us a little bit about Carter. And again, thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks for having me. Thank you.